What up, y'all? This is Mongo. All right, so this video we're gonna talk about Bruce Pritchard and SmackDown. And my basic premise, my thesis is that SmackDown is not as good as it could be. On Twitter, I said that if you look at Raw, Heyman is a guy who is using every toy in the box. He is giving storylines to Buddy Murphy. He's got storylines for Eric Rowan. He's got a storyline for Mojo Rawley. He's got a storyline for just about everybody. There's still some people that aren't properly used, like Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Some of the women aren't properly used. But he's got a storyline for most everybody. The show feels full. Like, you don't miss that Cedric Alexander is not on the show. You don't really miss that Shelton Benjamin's not on the show. You don't really miss that Kairi Sane doesn't wrestle that often. Like, some of these things, because the show feels full, like there's always something happening, you don't have a chance to miss and ask, like, where is so-and-so and why isn't so-and-so doing something? And then he's constantly adding new characters, too. Like, he brought in Angel Garza this week. So Heyman is a guy who is using every toy in the box. Meanwhile, on SmackDown, Bruce Pritchard is more interested in the box, right? So he's not playing with really any of the toys. He just wants to play with the box. And that leaves all the toys just out floating. For instance, even though the women got the main event this week, he hasn't really been using the women that often. And I'm not even a big women's wrestling booster, but, he has seemingly purposely put the women not even on the back burner. They're barely in the microwave, so it's like, I don't understand that. I don't understand why, he's not doing anything with large numbers of the wrestlers on the roster. He's just not working with them at all. He's doing the same matches over and over again. Usos versus Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. I feel like we've seen that match 3 or 4 times in some capacity, and the Usos haven't been back that long. And I feel like we've seen that match 4, 5, 6 times already. The Roman Reigns, Baron Corbin feud is still going on. It's been going on since November. Like, it's really been going on for months. And look, I know a lot of people say, well, we want longer feuds. And a lot of people are hypocrites because they say, yeah, we want longer feuds. Then they get a long feud and they say, oh, it's too long. But what makes it too long is when people are fighting every week. Like, that's the problem. And I feel like Bruce is interested in when you look at what he is doing right on SmackDown, as far as the vignettes for, Otis and other characters that he does vignettes for, that's what he's interested in doing. He's interested in, even when you listen to his podcast, he talks a lot about sitting down and doing character work. That's really what he seems to be interested in doing. He doesn't really seem to be interested in helping a young talent get over, because he doesn't really use any of them. Other than Corbin and Reigns, he doesn't really even use any of the younger talent. He gave Naomi a bit of a spotlight last week, and then she got pinned this week. In a match that, why on earth Carmella won the match, I have no idea. It makes sense, okay, that, maybe Naomi gets the bigger match later on down the line. But then you have the question of what's going to happen with Sasha. Because Sasha hasn't been wrestling either. And I heard that she's been injured. And maybe that's the case. Lacey Evans has disappeared. Who knows where the hell she went? So you just have these. And it's true that he is partially handicapped with Bray Wyatt. The same way that Paul Heyman is kind of handicapped with Brock Lesnar, in so much as the champion can't wrestle every week. Right? So now you're stuck using sort of the same guys over and over again. Or trying to find new reasons and new ways for guys to fight without the title being on the line. But Paul Heyman is doing a good job with that. He's created this stable with Seth Rollins and Murphy, Buddy Murphy, Akam and Razor, the AOP. And, they're constantly fighting Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe. And I am kind of tired of watching them fight. But it feels different, and when it's not boring, and it's not just matches. There's also other segments that are involved, intertwined, and You know, there's other things going on, and there's other things on the show going on too. So it's not like that's the only segment on the show. And it feels like whatever is the main segment on SmackDown just feels like it goes on literally forever. SmackDown never changes the 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 format. They always start with a promo. The promo always leads to whatever the first match or the last match. You know, there's never anything major happening on the show. I mean, the last major thing to happen, well, I can't say that because they did do the quote-unquote SmackDown Super where Braun Strowman won the title and Baron Corbin got covered in dog food, Hormel chili. But, you know, and those were big angles. You don't have to like them. But those were important crowd-popping angles. You know, these were kind of payoffs to storylines that he had been doing. Even though the Corbin Reigns thing is still going on and the Nakamura Strowman thing is still going on, those were sort of, again, decent beats, which should have been, quite honestly, should have been payoffs for these stories that they had been doing leading up to that point. Like, he had already been doing Nakamura versus Strowman in other ways, tag matches and shit like that, before the title match where they put the belt on Strowman. You know, again, Roman and Corbin had been feuding for months. And then they did this match where, you know, the loser had to eat dog food, which is an interesting scenario. Like, that's an interesting TV match. You know, it's not an I Quit match, which is what they're doing in NXT UK. They're about to have a I Quit match between Kaylee Ray and Toni Storm. That would have been better. You know, you could have blown the feud off in an I Quit match or something. But, you know, I guess you had to get the dog food spot back in. You know, it's decent storytelling, you know, but the end has to hang on the beginning. But, you know, neither here nor there. But it doesn't feel to me like Bruce is putting forth a lot of the effort. Now, the Otis and Mandy Rose storyline is the best storyline on SmackDown because it plays into the basic human psychology of she's out of his league. She's obviously playing him where everybody thinks that she is. You know, but he's kind of this love-struck, Chris Farley, fat, silly guy. And, you know, it's a cute little story. You know, it's not offensive. It's not over the top. It could get that far, though. It could get to the point where people are unhappy with it. But the training segment that they did on the February the 8th, let me make sure this date is right, February the 8th SmackDown, where they did the Rocky-like segment where Otis is doing sit-ups and eating pizza, that was funny. You know, I like the dirt sheet that they did between Miz and Morrison. I like that dirt sheet segment. But those were the only good segments that I really liked. You know, they didn't really do any of the matches none of the matches were really all that great. You know, and well, I did kind of like the Baron Corbin segment. So yeah, I liked about 3 or 4 segments, but I didn't like any of the matches. You know, like I liked the Baron Corbin going into the protection truck and beating up the guy for playing the video and throwing him down the stairs. I liked that. I also liked, you know, Corbin coming out and pouring whatever liquid that was over the guy's head and demanding he get another match. I like that. I like the Otis thing that I said. I like the dirt sheet, the Miz and Morrison segment. I didn't like the segment, but I liked the vignette. Now, I didn't like the segment because I'm tired of all of these guys just talking. I'm tired of them talking. They've already wrestled, which was the problem. You should never have had them wrestle in the first place. You know, I'm okay with John Morrison being reintroduced as the Miz's partner because that's going to lead to the breakup later. I already know this. Okay, if it's the Miz is in a tag team, it's going to end up in a serious breakup where the Miz is going to be the heel and the other guy is going to be the babyface, and they're kind of leading us down that path right now because the Miz is using Morrison is kind of bigging the Miz up, like saying, you know, you're awesome, you know, you're my best buddy, whatever. So maybe Miz will end up being the babyface in all this. Who knows? But I don't mind that usage of John Morrison, and I think it elevates the tag team titles because It's a fresh team. They have charisma. They work together well. The New Day, is the New Day. So I kind of like that, but there needs to be ways of freshening that up. There needs to be like a stipulation or something. You got to get. You need to do other things like the. It seems like Nakamura, Zayn, and Cesaro are stuck in a rut. All they do is lose. They don't really do anything else. Like Cesaro goes out there. He has it. Oh yeah, he did have a decent match with. He had a pretty good match with Elias tonight, and he lost. I didn't mind that he lost. I don't really care that much about wins and losses. But why is Sami Zayn outside the ring just watching his guys lose? Like, you have to explain that to me. Like, why is he just outside the ring watching his guys get pinned all the time? Like, why doesn't he continue to grow his roster? Like Selena. Well, I guess you can't really compare it to Selena Vega because she only has one other person, right? So it was Andrade for a long time, and then because Andrade got that 30-day vacation, she brought in Angel Garza, and it creates a completely different story between Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. But there is no story outside of Shinsuke Nakamura still wants to be the Intercontinental Champion. And I guess, now that they've added the Revival, so I guess the Revival is going to be part of the Sami Zayn mess, but the Revival also a part of the Baron Corbin mess. Do you see what I'm saying? That he just doesn't seem to care. And look, the Revival are hard to do stuff with. I get it. It's a tag team. They can't always be the champions. They can't always be winning. But there has to be something else they can do. And I think that when they was on Raw, while the guys were on Raw, they were doing this stuff with Randy Orton that I thought was really interesting. And they should have left him on Raw to do that. Or they should have mimicked it in some way on SmackDown, where they still got to be the Leisure Suit Revival, where they kind of got to be the big money Revival, where they just, they're big shots. Again, their whole gimmick is they're the top guys. Why not just book them as being the top guys? Why is Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode still a tag team? Why were they moved as a tag team? I don't get that. I don't understand why Robert Roode doesn't want to be a singles champion. I don't understand it. Like, you have to make it make sense to me. That's what everybody's saying now. Like, make it make sense. I get it that everybody owns, like, people have personal dilemmas that supersede the championship sometimes, but when you don't, and you're just fighting the same guys over and over again, it gets to the point where it's like, okay, why are they fighting now? They're fighting for the same reason they were fighting last week. Nothing different is happening, and it just doesn't make much sense. And there could be so much more done. Now, Pritchard has been getting new talent. He's got a returning Sheamus. He's got a returning John Morrison. He didn't get, Ruby Riott, which I think he should have, or Liv Morgan, So he didn't have two big returns, which means he probably might end up getting Nia Jax, probably after the draft. But right now he's kind of stuck with Bayley at the top. I'm not into Auntie Pam. I don't care what people have to say. I don't like Bayley. I just don't like her. I didn't like her as a babyface. I don't like her now. She's worse now. And she's just more boring. Like, she was annoying as a babyface. But I can deal with annoying. I can't deal with boring. Pam is fucking boring. I don't get it. I don't buy it. I don't buy her into her being mean. I understood this storyline as just being some shit that was going on until Sasha Banks turned heel on her and forced Bayley to turn babyface again. But she had to be a sort of different kind of babyface. That's kind of what I understood the storyline to be. But now I'm not so sure what they're going to do. Because, I guess I talked a little too fast because he did get Naomi. So now you got Naomi and you're not really pushing her and putting her in that position. You're going to have her get beat in the first match back, which made no sense. They would have, but you get what I'm saying. Like, the frustration is that he's not doing all that he can do. I get that he's pushing Sheamus. I get that he's, trying to do trying to push Braun Strowman. He's really trying to get something out of Braun Strowman. And Braun Strowman's really emotional promo about being an Intercontinental Champion and how much it meant to him was different. I was impressed with that. There's people who were trying to make fun of him for it. And again, I was the one who made the video that for a giant, the Intercontinental Championship is a death sentence. And I still believe that it is. But I was genuinely excited and not, I wouldn't say excited, impressed is the appropriate word, that it meant a lot to him to be the Intercontinental Champion. Because it's the first title he's ever won. And a lot of people are saying that it's long overdue. He should have been won a championship. Some people will even go so far as to say it's been too long, which I don't even understand what that means. Because, Andre was in the WWE for over a decade and never won a singles title until 1988. But whatever. And Ted DiBiase never won one at all, and neither did Jake Roberts. Neither one of them has ever won a singles title. DiBiase was only the tag team champion a couple of times. So I don't know, but it's it's a different era. People have different views, and they think everybody should be a champion or at least have a run with the title. And it's like, well, no. Actually, it means more that certain people don't have it than if everybody gets it. But I don't feel like Pritchard is doing everything. I don't feel like he's doing what he can with Chad Gable or Shorty G, whatever you want to call him. I don't really care that people want to call him Chad Gable. I don't give a shit. I don't feel like he's getting the most out of this guy. He's just having Sheamus kill him. That doesn't help Shorty G get over. He's not pushing Sheamus to the limit, and which is what I think the storyline was going to be. I thought the storyline was going to be, Sheamus is overlooking this guy. He thinks Shorty G is a joke. He gets in there, Shorty G starts stretching him, and doing kind of what Sheamus was doing in his workouts, where he would go and do these workout videos, and he would talk about how these people doing these workout videos would kind of push him to his limit. Like he had a short clip where he was wringing out his shirt after working out with Xia Li, the Chinese female wrestler on NXT. And he was kind of impressed by her. And I was thinking that maybe that's where this was going. That he was going to get into this feud with Chad Gable, and Chad Gable was going to tie him up, do some old school wrestling, and really prove himself against Sheamus. But no, he's just getting beat. He's just getting kicked around. And it's like, well, that's not... Come on, we've already been through this. Like, the storyline with Chad Gable is, rise above size. That's his motto. That's his thing. Okay, he's short, right? A lot of people are upset about him being called Shorty G. I'm not, because it's temporary. All this stuff is temporary. He's not going to be Shorty G forever. So, rise above size. He should actually be rising, right? Shouldn't it be he's trying to prove himself? And when in situations where he needs to prove himself, that's where you really see the best of him. That's where the storyline came from with him and Baron Corbin. Because Baron Corbin would hit him with all these short jokes, and people were getting really offended by the short jokes, which, check my Baron Corbin video about what heels are supposed to do. A heel should always, always, always talk about the most obvious thing. If you're short, you're fat, you're balding, you're missing your front teeth, or whatever the hell. Why wouldn't the heel mention that? If you're short as hell, why wouldn't... And Gable's only like 5'8" or something like that. He's not like Alexa Bliss height, so... But still. He was able to rise above his size and pin Baron Corbin once or twice, That was his angle. That was why people were getting behind him. And for a while, Chad Gable did have that groundswell of support where people were interested in seeing him because they wanted him to really beat Baron Corbin and overcome everything. Then they decided Baron Corbin was the main event heel, and he just beat the shit out of Chad Gable, and that was it. And now Chad Gable is getting beat up by Sheamus, and that's it. But that's not helping him. That's not elevating him. Mustafa Ali has not been on SmackDown in 2 months, maybe 2 months. He has not had a vignette. he has not appeared on SmackDown in 2 months. And you have all these people. You're not even putting them in a tag team. Like, if you don't know what to do with the guy, just put him in a tag team for a while, and then break the tag team up, and then have them feud with each other. Apollo Crews was on SmackDown tonight, lost in 2 minutes to Sheamus. Why? Look, I'm not a big booster of Apollo Crews. I don't think I haven't seen a lot of him, personally. Okay, and I know some people may say, "Oh, you need to watch the old Uhaa Nation." I'm like, I'm not about to do that. Okay, I don't have that kind of time. If you want to drop a match in the comment section or something like that, fine. Otherwise, I'm judging off of what I see. And everybody seems to think that sending people to NXT is the cure for everything. Like, oh, well, he can't cut promos. Send him to NXT where he don't have to do that. But then you have to send half the fucking roster to NXT. So, but you got to give a guy a chance. Apollo Crews has been on the roster for a really long time. They've never tried to give him a heel turn, or do anything else with him. Why not give it a shot? What the hell are you going to lose? You're not going to lose anything. It's not like he's a top-level babyface that you can't possibly... I can't turn this guy heel. It'll cost me money. It'll cost you nothing to give it a shot, to give it a try. It'll literally cost you nothing. Okay? Or, if you just want to do silly storylines with these guys and not put them in wrestling matches, that's fine. Heyman is doing that with the Street Profits on Raw. He's got them doing Raw reviews, and it's really pissing certain people off because they're like, "Oh, the Street Profits should be wrestling every week." I don't know why they need to wrestle every week. Hell, they done wrestled every fucking tag team already. So that's a completely different thing that has more to do with WWE not knowing really what to do with tag teams. But the Street Profits have wrestled just about everybody on Raw already. They haven't been the champions yet, but they've wrestled the Viking Raiders already. They'll probably end up wrestling Rollins and Murphy eventually. But they wrestled most of the tag teams on Raw already. So that's why them doing this Raw review stuff is not that big of a deal. He was just keeping them on TV. As opposed to on SmackDown, where it's almost like Bruce Pritchard is sweeping people under rugs. Like he don't even want you visible. And you really don't have to do that much. I think SmackDown would be infinitely better if Pritchard was not so interested in doing vignettes and character stuff, and he was interested in taking more risks. And I think that sometimes when you take risks, you end up as being the bad guy. And what I mean by that is, you don't know how people are going to react to something until you do it. You could be the genius or you could be the GOAT. And I don't mean the GOAT, I mean greatest of all time. I mean the GOAT like a donkey's ass, right? You might as well just say the jackass. So you get to be the genius or the jackass, right? And the dog food spot is one of those things. Some people think that it was the worst thing ever. I think it was a risky move, and it worked for me. Because I wouldn't want to be chained up and doused in anything. And this is what, wrestling has been doing this for a long time. People have been doused in things like blood. People have been doused in molasses. People have been thrown into rivers. That kind of shit happens, okay? And he took it to a different level by saying, okay, well, what about dog food? Let's do dog food. Okay. I'm okay with that because it's all same to me. It's all meant to be offensive and over the top and to embarrass the babyface. So, okay, that's fine. So, I just don't think that he's trying that hard. I don't think that he's trying to do anything unique. I think he's just comfortable doing the same thing over and over again. Heath Slater appeared on SmackDown this week, and I thought to myself, there's Heath Slater. Why is he not doing anything on SmackDown? I didn't even know he was on SmackDown. Is he fresh back from injury? I don't know. I have no earthly idea. And look, I'm not saying that Paul Heyman uses everybody every week on Raw, because there's weeks where you don't see Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. Again, I mentioned Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. He doesn't use everybody, but it doesn't feel like everybody is missing. SmackDown feels like it's the same 5 or 6 people every week. He doesn't rotate it. It's the same damn people every week. And then what makes it even worse is he had a golden opportunity to make the Shinsuke Nakamura Intercontinental Championship run matter by having him wrestle guys like Shorty G, like Mustafa Ali, and extended programs. Even if you weren't going to change the title, you could at least just put those guys in those spots temporarily before you moved it to Braun Strowman. Because at least then you could say, well, Ali had his shots, Shorty G had his shots, Apollo Crews had his shots, and then now we're going to move the title to Strowman, and we're going to do this. But he didn't do anything. He just had him standing around doing nothing. You know, Nakamura-ing. You know, he's just kind of over there doing his Michael Jackson stuff, and that's it. He comes out, Sami Zayn talks about being an artist and an intellectual and a genius, and he's smarter than everybody else, and that's nice. But why are we not working with anybody here? You know, we're not. He's cutting promos on the crowd. You need a baby face to cut these promos on. You know, we need to aim all of our vitriol at a baby face and not totally at the crowd. There can be some pop shots at the crowd. I mean, that's part of heel work. But there also needs to be some very focused stuff aimed at a baby face. And they haven't been doing that. You know? Now, certain characters have. You know, again, this is with the whole Baron Corbin stuff. Yeah, it's been very focused, laser focused on Roman Reigns and the Usos. You know, but we need to be told why people are not doing anything. You know, why is Mustafa Ali wrestling in dark matches? What is he doing wrong? You know, what are you saving him for? That's what I want to know. Like, it'd been one thing if you're trying to push him off to the side because you want to save him for something. You know, like we all naturally think that Sasha Banks is being saved for WrestleMania. So people aren't really all that upset that Sasha Banks is wrestling every week. They're like, okay, well, Sasha's going to wrestle at WrestleMania. They're trying not to get her injured. You know, Bayley is also not wrestling on TV. I'm 100% okay with that. But if you're taking 2 people off the card, you need to replace them with 2 people, right? Which means you probably need to be bringing Nikki Cross back into the ring. You need to be using Carmella more. You know, now Carmella's going to wrestle Bayley for the title. Okay, fine, whatever. But I need to feel like the show is full. You know, why was Sonya Deville not in the match tonight? In the Fatal 4-Way women's match? You know, why was Naomi in there to get pinned when you could have put Sonya Deville into the match? You could have even just told us Naomi wasn't medically cleared to wrestle. Even though it probably would have been bullshit, you could have just said, well, she wasn't medically cleared. She wasn't medically cleared to be in the Royal Rumble. But she snuck in anyway because she's just so excited to come back or whatever. You could have just did any type of fucking angle. You didn't really have to beat Naomi. What the hell do you beat her for? You know, it's the opposite of what you see on SmackDown and what you see on NXT, because NXT is also a show. Well, NXT has a bloated roster, right? NXT has more people than they can do anything with. And to some degree, they still also use the same people over and over again. Because, like, I don't understand why Donovan Dijak is getting another match with Keith Lee. I don't understand why. They had a good match in PWG. For fuck's sake, who cares? Dijak is bread. He's fucking boring. Move on. Let's go do literally anybody else. You know? But, whatever. There's still a lot of people on SmackDown in NXT that don't do that much. You know, there's the whole 205 Live crew. You know, and that brings me to Lucha House Party, which is a member of the SmackDown roster. And when you look at what Paul Heyman is doing with the Latinos on Raw, where he's highlighting them, and you look at what Bruce Pritchard is doing with the Latinos on SmackDown, where he's basically hiding them. You know, Lucha Underground is pretty much Lucha Underground. The Lucha House Party, they're basically in witness protection program. Why isn't Grand Metalik out there just having, maybe a 5 or 6 minute kick-ass match, even if it just means that he goes out there to do the job? Why isn't he doing those matches with a Nakamura or a Cesaro, or, why isn't he out there doing those matches with Ziggler or Rude or somebody? There's 100 different mix-ups you could be doing that you're not doing because you don't give a shit, right? And I can almost guarantee you that Paul Heyman is going to start using some of the people that I'm talking about. They're probably making an appearance within the next week or so. Then you'll probably see Shelton Benjamin pop up on Raw. You'll probably see Cedric Alexander pop up on Raw. They might not do that much. They might just come out there to get beaten up. But he's not forgetting that these people exist. Where it feels like Bruce Pritchard doesn't even know who's on his roster. Like he had Lucha House Party on TV last week, not on TV this week. I get it. They're non-essentials. But at the same time, you got these incredibly athletic guys who you could be showing off if for no other reason than because they have very flashy offense. And that's a lot of the guys that you got here. You got Ali and Shorty G and Lucha House Party. These guys have some exciting offense. They could at least pop the crowd and keep the crowd interested in what's going on. You don't use them. You just don't use them. And you have all these other heels that could use wins and victories. You can't just keep putting Cesaro out there to lose. If he's going to be a jobber to the stars, fine, but he's got to have some fucking credibility. He could be out there having 4 or 5 minute kick-ass matches with Grand Metalik or something like that and getting wins and looking impressive, but we don't want to do that either. We're not going to use anybody. We're just going to have fucking Miz talk for 15 minutes, and we're going to have fucking Baron Corbin talk for 15 minutes, and then that's most of the show. Like, no, that's not cool, man. That's not a good. People have just blatantly said SmackDown sucks. Look, I think SmackDown, it sucks in comparison to what it could be. If you look at what SmackDown could be, if you compare it to every other wrestling show, yeah, it sucks. And I think that's what a lot of people do. They just compare shows because that's what they do. They like to compare things. So if you want to compare SmackDown to Raw, SmackDown sucks. You want to compare SmackDown to NXT, SmackDown sucks. You want to compare compare SmackDown to Impact, in some ways it sucks compared to Impact. Because at least on Impact you can count on there being at least one solid mat-based match per week. Like they had a great match with Kingo and TJP this week. You can at least count on that when it comes to Impact. You can't even count on that when it comes to SmackDown because they won't put the fucking guys in the ring. Like you have to put them in the ring. At least give them a chance to fail. You're not even giving not having a chance to succeed. They don't even have a chance to fail. They don't have a chance to do any fucking thing. They don't get a chance to fuck up promos. They don't have a chance to fuck up anything. It's like you're completely taking most of the card off the table. And I'm not saying that guys need to be in the fucking main event. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that guys, it would be cool if you open the show and tell me, oh yeah, Grand Metalik is about to have a match with Cesaro to start SmackDown. Even if the match is 7 minutes, it'd have been better than you starting the show with Baron Corbin again, or starting the show with The Miz again, or with New Day again. Why? And I don't understand why you can't do babyface versus babyface matches for no reason. Not every match needs to be built up. And I think that's another thing that we have that is an essential problem in WWE. They think every match needs to have heat built up before the match happens. You can have a good cold match. Just do it. And then you build the heat in the match. Or you build the heat after the match. You don't need to build the heat from some extended promo and then you go into the match. Like, why did the Usos and and Ziggler and Rude and all these guys, why did they have to go through this 15-minute talking segment between the Miz, Morrison, and the New Day? Why didn't we just see the dirt sheet and then New Day do a short response to the dirt sheet where they basically say, oh, blah, 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 it's not a joke, you can't beat us, blah, 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 and end the segment. Okay, and then say, well, Robert Roode is about to fight Jimmy Uso next. And that's it. They didn't need to have a tag team match. We've seen them in 100 fucking tag team matches. We didn't need to see it again. We could have had Robert Roode fighting Grand Metalik or Lince Dorado, and then the Usos interfered and got him disqualified or something. There's 100 fucking things you could do to make this shit interesting that Bruce Pritchard is not doing and seems to have no fucking interest in doing. And look, I'm not even saying that his job is easy. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying it's gotta be easier than this. Like, you gotta put some complexity on it. Like, I get that you might want to save all your good ideas for your top guys. Maybe that's the case. But for fuck's sake, do something new. Introduce somebody different. Like, you could just do something off the wall. Like, I can't believe, like, when you look at the shit that Paul Heyman is pulling on Raw, he's doing fucking interracial cuck angles. Like, he's doing fucking interracial cuck angles. He got Lashley and Rusev, these two big, tough dudes, in a fucking love square with Liv Morgan and Lana. It's fucking nonsense. But he's doing something. He's doing something. He's not just letting all the pieces just sit there. He's doing something. Bruce needs to do fucking something. I don't give a fuck what it is. I don't give a fuck if he put together the Nexus. I don't give a fuck if he decides to set a motherfucker on fire on SmackDown. He needs to do something interesting. And that's why I don't care about the dog food shit, because at least it's different. At least when I say, oh yeah, this motherfucker got covered in dog food, you know what I'm talking about. Alright. Bruce needs to get his shit together. SmackDown fucking sucks. Okay? It fucking sucks. And it doesn't need to. Because it has all the talent in the world. Nobody has any idea what Daniel Bryan is going to do. And I keep trying to stop this rant. And every time I stop, I think of something else. Because it's like, okay, AJ Styles is hurt on Raw. But it doesn't seem like it because you have 100 other things going on. On SmackDown, you miss every time somebody doesn't wrestle. You're like, God damn, why isn't Daniel Bryan wrestling this week? This show would be so much better with Daniel Bryan on it, because I have to sit here and watch Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler team up with Baron Corbin again to fight the same motherfuckers they've been fighting. It's not like they're fighting 3 different motherfuckers. It's the same people. Like, I could deal with them fighting 3 other motherfuckers. If Baron Corbin and Robert Roode were trying to cement their teamwork and they were fighting Mustafa Ali, Shorty G, and Apollo Crews, right? And that was the match. That would be fine with me, because at least I'm looking at them fight other people. They're doing something different. They're not just fighting the same motherfuckers every week. Mix it up. It feels incredibly stale. Incredibly stale. And I'm not even talking about individual booking decisions, like putting Kofi back in the fucking tag team and him not caring about being world champion anymore. I'm not even talking about that. Like, that's next level. That's a little beyond what I'm saying. I'm saying that people need to be doing something. They need to be doing something that matters. But you got to get people off the ground, especially these young guys. You got to get them off the ground. You can't just hold them down and be like, okay, well, we're pushing Sheamus now. You've been pushing Sheamus since 2009, since 2008 or some shit. Give somebody else a shot. Like, if we don't need Sheamus to prove himself to me. If Sheamus is a former world champion, I don't need Sheamus to prove himself to me. Shorty G is the one who needs to be proved to me. You understand what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not even saying that Shorty G should beat Sheamus. I'm just saying that he needs to be able to last and look like he legitimately could beat Sheamus and fall just short or something. But tell that story. Don't tell me rise over size and then he going to get beaten up in 3 minutes because he's too damn little. That's not fun. It's not interesting. And then it is cool if it happens once and then the next time, you know, he comes back a little bit better. You know, you build up almost like the King's Road style where, you know, he doesn't lose to the same set of moves twice, where he gets better every time they wrestle. But that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing one spear, 1, 2, 3, one brogue kick, 1, 2, 3. Same shit again and again, over and over again. It's not fun. It's fucking boring. SmackDown sucks, and it doesn't need to suck. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.